Hey guys, what's up? It's the Merc
In the Witch Lord.
here for Bullshit Games, and it is a new month, which means
New game system.
that we will be playing for the entire month and talking about and making videos for. And that new game system is something that you've all been asking for. Well, not all of you, but a majority.
A good
yeah.
good amount of you.
And the game system is
Infinity.
by Corvus Belli.
The most impressive editing and technical effects that we've ever done.
That's the extent of our practical effects here at Bullshit Games right now. But, for those of you that don't know, Infinity is a small-scale sci-fi skirmish game.
Yep.
I'd go so far as say it's a hard science fiction.
Yeah, it's hard science fiction with a certain amount of cyberpunk thrown in there. I think.
It's
not like cyberpunk, but just the fact that it has a lot of stuff to do with like hacking and things
kind
of that
of
nature,
Ghost
kind
in
of-
the Shell influence.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of a little bit of an anime feel, you could say. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's an anime game, but it does have kind of that,
The beautiful
aspect
thing about the game that, one of the many things I like about it is there's no like psychic powers, there's no magic, it's just guns.
if there's something happening, it's because technology.
Yeah.
There's no magic behind it.
Yeah.
It's just devices, guns, things of that nature.
Yeah.
No
Oh, and Aryans.
aliens.
But we had fun with War Machine Month.
Yep.
Learned some things through that, namely when it comes to Colossals.
Yes.
The Caldor Colossal has a lot of guns, but that's a trap. It's meant to punch things in the face.
It's a drop.
Just like everything else in Caldor.
Yep.
So now, hopefully, playing through Infinity, we will learn the ins and outs of the rules.
Yes. And, one of the things I have to say about Infinity is that it has a very high learning curve. I mean, it's a game where it's just not forgiving. If you
That's
mess
true.
up.
Like, the basic rules are simple to understand.
Well, yeah, I mean, the basic rules and everything else, it's easy to play.
No,
It's just
I think the
unforgiving.
best way
Very,
to it's
very much.
unforgiving. It's a very brutal game.
Yeah.
It's one of the few games I know where you can lose in like
First
5-10
turn.
minutes.
Yeah. I mean, if you move your lieutenant to the wrong place and he gets killed, he's very likely to get killed.
Also, like we learned tonight, terrain placement plays a huge role in
Yes.
who wins and who loses.
Yes, you have to be very, very careful as to, you have to be extremely fair when it comes to setting up the table, because sometimes you can unknowingly set up a piece of terrain that just gives your opponent, well, not necessarily your opponent, but somebody on the board, just complete control over the board, because, I mean, they can see everything with like an HMG, which is pretty much exactly what happened to me.
Or a sniper rifle,
Yeah.
which happened to me. But anyway, I guess what we should say about our experience with Infinity this month is we are pretty much completely new. We've each played
I think we played 3 games.
one like practice game with only 3 just line infantry, and then we have 3 regular games under our belts each. The 2 tonight plus 1 other one. And it's going to be a roller coaster ride. It really is.
Yeah. But, I mean, even after just tonight, I feel like I've learned quite a bit of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And now just knowing how it works, on the table instead of just reading about it in the book and saying, oh, this might work well, I have a better idea of what I should take and what I should buy. Things like that.
The armies that we're probably going to be talking about most up here, in the videos in general, I play Aleph and Nomads.
Yep. And I play Ariadna Uncombined.
And the other person in our group who has bought in and built a force for the game plays Pan-Oceania. Or Pan-Oceania. However you want to say that. Currently we're all playing vanilla.
Okay.
But I know I can play a Bakunin Sectoral. And I know our player who's doing Pano can play the like Knightly Orders Sectoral. The thing with Sectorals is they're kind of like... They're like the old appendix armies for Warhammer Fantasy and 40k, where you take a very limited amount of stuff, but that stuff works really well together. And we just, since we don't know the rules well enough for vanilla games yet, we're not going to even delve into that at this point. Initial impressions going into it, you want to think maybe?
Yeah, sure. As far as like the armies go, or just the
armies game in general, whatever you want to...
Well, it is definitely one of the most fun games I've played in a long time. I mean, especially I love War Machine and Hordes. But after playing that for a month, let's just say it gets a little old after a while. When you play it like 2 or 3 times every time you get together, it gets to the point where it's just like, oh, I want to play something different. And then playing this tonight was very much a breath of fresh air. As I said, it's very easy to lose at this game if you're not careful. Yeah. So it kind of puts you on your toes as soon as you start playing. And, I'll say I got my ass whooped the first game. In the second game I played, I managed to win. But yeah, it's really fun, and you got to be careful.
That's I think the one thing, like when you're talking about War Machine Hordes, the thing that's different with this game is you don't just have to sit there and take it. Right. You can react in your non-active turn to the active player, which makes you feel a little bit less like a punching bag. What I really like so far going into Infinity is all the factions, like the weapons are all the same. Weapons are the same across the board. And I'm sure some people won't like that because whatever.
Yeah. There are a few things here and there, like the combined half plasma weapons. And like but I mean, for the most part, all the weapons are not generic, but pretty much the same.
Which, for a hard sci-fi setting, makes sense because an assault rifle is an assault rifle is an assault rifle.
Right. Yeah, heavy machine gun is a heavy machine gun, whether it's shooting bullets or energy rounds. You know what I mean? It's still a heavy machine gun.
Yeah. And some of the things I think are cool is you kind of get the flavor to your army through special skills that models have that are all in the rulebook. I mean, there are no army books for Infinity. There are 3 books. There is the 2nd edition revised, there is the Human Sphere, and there is the Campaign Paradiso book. Also, you can download all the army lists and the rules for free at Corvus Belli's website, which is infinitythegame.com.
And their website is absolutely amazing. It is an awesome website.
It's a beautiful website, and it has maybe the best free army builder I've ever seen.
It's copyrighted.
No, well, it's called Infinity Armor. Infinity Army is what the program's called. And when you click on it, it lets you build an army, but also, if you click on any of the skills for any model you want to see, it automatically opens up the Infinity Wiki page that tells you exactly what the rule is. And this is all stuff that Corvus Belli's done, so it's all official through the company.
It'd be really nice, now that you mentioned that, if we had Wi-Fi up here, and you just had an iPad or something like that, and just plug it in, you can go right to that if you need to look up something real quick. Which, I mean, we all have books, so it's really not that big of a deal just to look in the book.
But it is a lot nicer to just be able to click and,
Right, it's something that's there, and it's something that's very... I mean, it's a free thing, it's a free aspect of the game that they let you use, which is always nice.
Things that we've learned... Like, we played 2 games tonight. 2 opening games for the month. And things we learned.
Don't go into the open. Ever.
Don't play Infinity with 40k terrain.
No, do not.
Ruined buildings do not make an Infinity game. No. At all.
Buildings with windows are bad.
Because you want solid buildings.
All the windows.
Yes, you want solid buildings.
I mean, I don't know how many arrows were in these games. I mean, to a certain extent, the player who was reacting was doing a lot more than the active player. Just because of the amount of windows that were in our buildings. I mean, and I think I can hold up an example. This is an example.
That is old Necromunda terrain.
The sides, you can see right through that. You're going to get cover, but still.
But when you're up against guys with like level 3 multispectral visors that can ignore cover and all that fun kind of stuff.
Here's another great example of some of our terrain. Yeah, lots of windows.
Which, if that wasn't ruined on one side, it would be great Infinity terrain. But because it's blown open on one end, it's good for 40k, not good for Infinity.
Which, I mean, the majority of our terrain was originally for 40k.
Up until a few, like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know about 10. Probably like 4 or 5.
No, I think it was like at least 8.
Yeah, probably.
So I think 8th edition Fantasy came out like 8 years ago.
Yeah, it might have, actually.
So.
But
anyway.
Yeah. We digress.
we will definitely be getting some new terrain. Also, play scenarios.
Yeah.
Don't just play kill each other. That really advantaged our Pano player tonight because he was able to just sit in his deployment zone and put his HMGs and sniper rifles to good use.
Yeah.
And like us, we were like in bad shape because we were on the wrong side of the table.
Yeah, and that goes into another good point is just to be very even when it comes to setting up terrain. Make sure that nobody has that one building that's going to be able to overlook every single thing. Because, I mean, the smart player is going to start there.
Well, the other thing that we didn't do, that we should have done, that we've never really done when we've played up here, is when you roll, I guess this just kind of goes to play by the rules. When you roll to see who goes first, and who you don't only roll to see who goes first, you roll to see who deploys and where they deploy first.
Right.
So whoever wins the face-to-face roll for their lieutenant decides whether they want to set up first or if they want to go first or set up first.
Right.
I think it's something like that. It's either whoever wins gets the choice of deployment zone or first turn.
Okay.
And if we would have done that tonight, I know the one game I won the willpower roll. I should have said, let's switch sides.
Yeah.
I'll play on that side. Because then the Pano player would have been at a disadvantage. His sniper would have had to start in the opener on the ground,
right,
and not in high terrain.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this just is what goes into learning how to play a new game.
Yeah.
You'll make mistakes, and then you fix them the next time you play. And, I've actually had to really, even though there were some things we did that didn't necessarily end up having a fair fight to a certain extent, it was still really, really fun to go out there. And I didn't have that rage moment that I get with, War Machine and Hordes especially.
Even, when I was losing bad the second game, I didn't feel too bad because there was still ways to mitigate and try to win. And I killed one of my opponent's guys with a robot koala.
That was pretty great.
Hugged him to death.
Made it all worth it.
It made it okay. And the first game when I played my Aleph, Ajax ran up the board by himself and almost single-handedly won me the game. He was the only model I had left on the table.
Yeah.
And he almost won me the game.
It is impressive.
Yeah. Ajax
he's
a
awesome
beast. I'm going to try to get him painted here in 2 weeks. I'll be done in school, and I'll have time to paint, and I think Ajax will be the first up on the painting table to finish.
That's actually a good point, too. I mean, only have 7 guys per army or something like that. It's really not a challenge at all to sit down and paint that stuff up.
And the models are just beautiful.
I really like the way they're modeled.
Really beautiful models. And I think they're redoing a lot of the line right now, so they're only going to be even more gorgeous when that's done. And the only thing that's kind of disappointing is we're just now mobilizing and getting into our Infinity. And I saw the other day that 3rd edition rules are on their way.
Well, new books. At least there's only 3 of them. It's not like you have to buy.
Well, and I have a feeling that maybe when they redo the rules, they'll roll them into one.
Yeah, that'd be nice too. Yeah,
but
I mean, these are relatively small books too, so
they're small books, but it's really small print, so there's a lot in them.
A lot in there. Very straightforward book, though. I mean, they're easy to follow. Sometimes you get to squint.
But I think War Machine Month is over.
Yes,
the time of steam and iron is past, and now is the time of assault rifles, body armor, and
grenades,
high system computer hacking,
nanobots,
good times,
cyberspace, cybernetics,
good times. Actually, I love sci-fi, and Infinity is it's nice to have a game. I guess I will end my thoughts on going into Infinity Month with it's nice to have a sci-fi game that is science fiction and not grimdark fantasy in space.
Right.
Where it just feels like science fiction should.
It's not like And we talked about it earlier. There's no mysticism. There's none of the grimdark, and I agree with that completely. Yeah. You know, I like the Warhammer 40K storyline.
Yeah,
but it's not really science fiction. No. I mean, yeah, it is, but it's more fantasy. It's kind of a space fantasy. I mean, it's not really enough. You can't really consider it a space opera because there's almost too much fantasy in there.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's nice. It is very nice to have a game that is science fiction.
Yeah.
It's hard science fiction. No shenanigans. No.
Well, there's shenanigans.
There's a lot of shenanigans, but there's no, divine intervention from some higher power. It's all what's going on in the field and your tactics.
Yeah. Yep. And I can say, coming up this month, school's going to be out for me. School's out for him.
Yes.
We're going to try to bring you some episodes with us painting and or just showing off some painted models. We are going to try to get at least one battle report done.
Yeah.
I'd really like to do that. And we might do I plan on doing a couple impressions, like what my impressions is of the two factions I've picked as I play them over the month. So I think, aside from that, that's going to be it.
Yep.
Anything?
No, I think we covered everything we wanted to cover.
So that's right. It is Infinity Month. April. Good Lord. April is Infinity Month here at Poolshed Games.
May. It's May.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's May. April was War Machine Month.
It's the end.
When you said that, I was like,
it's the end of the semester.
Okay.
My brain doesn't want to brain anymore.
Yeah, today is May 2nd. So.
Okay.
Yep.
So May is War Machine Month.
They happen.
At May is Infinity Month at Poolshed Games. And we're going to do our best to bring you some high-quality, non-confusing Infinity content.
We're playing Warhammer, right?
And if you guys have any cool Infinity related comments, content that
hints,
you
ideas,
rules, tips, hints. Yeah. If any of you play Aleph, Nomads, Combined or Ariadna, and you go against Pano, and you have any hints or tips, let us know, because Pano is bad. And we'll see you guys later. Hope you guys like the video.
Subscribe.
Bye-bye.